Hey guys, it's Tick
and Tack.
Welcome back to Borderlands 3.
Hell yeah, son.
I gotta go back. Not go back. I gotta go to Fort Sunshine.
Fort Sunnyshine?
Oh, here I should just. Where is it? There it is. I'm going crazy apparently. No. Here. That's not what I need either. Just press this. Ah.
Ah. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Ah.
I just got a text. Or thing. It was just a notification, probably. Oh, I have a new commander deck. We can go through it next episode.
You do?
Yeah, remember?
Oh, yeah. It's not new to me.
Yeah,
I watched
no.
you play it.
I know. But it's new to everybody else, and we can talk about it in the next episode. That's what I was saying.
No. Right now.
Because, well, do you want to go get it?
I guess I could.
Do you want to? That was the question, idiot.
I mean, I probably can in a second. I'm just going through this, trying to think of a response to this comment.
Well, I'm gonna try to avoid meleeing if I can. Ah! Ah, I won. I guess. Ah! I didn't kill again.
That's the spurt. I want to borrow the charger from this battery bank so that I may charge my phone.
Guess we'll need to find another way in. Take a look around. There's an old lookout nearby that might offer a nice vantage. Vault thief's still alive. Guess I should have anointed a few more of the family. That's the real.
Yeah, you should have.
Reminds me why I kept you alive all these
Okay,
years.
I'll go get it.
Okay.
Which box is it in?
The red one.
The red one?
Yeah. The big, tall red one.
Oh, that's another thing I gotta grab. A deck box.
Oh, right. You can get a super cheap deck box, though.
I will. It's not super cheap like that.
Yeah, I know.
The overhead crane would serve our needs.
Good idea. That'll do nicely. Unfortunately, it'll be a bit of a bear to get to it. You'll have to go through the lumber yard, and that's COV Central. I'll make sure the door's open by the time you get there.
Ooh, claptrap. Oh, claptrap. Where art thou, resting? Not need love. Ray.
Maybe get out of here. Your grandma said she
Yeah, I know.
I know you know.
I know. I know things.
Yeah,
sometimes.
this isn't surprising. This is a normal thing.
I heard her earlier.
Yeah. She probably texted you.
Maybe. I don't think she knows what text means.
Maybe she'll call you. Again. Alright, so this deck is the shitty deck that nobody likes, right?
No, it's not shit.
Okay,
It's all about exile, though, which is cool.
shitty one that
I
nobody
know,
likes.
Alright, where are you at?
Where you at? Where you at? Okay,
Uh-huh.
alright.
Now he's below me.
So this is your commander.
Ah, there he is.
Sam. God, look at those tokens. So many different ones. I'll save all the... I'll save the commander for last.
Might as well.
Why, Braden? Why? Why might I as well? Huh?
I don't know, dude.
Got a reason for the
Just
words?
being a dick for no reason all of a sudden.
You got a reason for all the words you're saying?
I'll have a reason to fucking murder you here in a minute.
Do it, coward! How dare you? Okay. Alright. Game Trail. When there's battlefield, you may reveal a mountain or forest card from your hand. If you don't, Game Trail is battlefield tapped. Basic forest. Return of the Wild Speaker. Choose one. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control.
Yeah.
Or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn.
One of those is definitely better than the other.
That's true. Especially for 5 mana.
Yeah.
Beanstalk Giant. Fertile Footsteps 3. Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. Then exile this card. You may cast the creature later from exile. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
His toughness, power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. That's such a crazy ability, though.
Yep.
Because one of my thoughts, so one of the ways, obviously, you use it is to avoid creature death. So if so many board wipes, if you have mana and most of your creatures have this ability, you just activate that ability,
Yep.
and then they all don't die.
Yep.
So, and obviously, it's cheaper to recast.
Well, no, that's the thing, is those are sorceries. So it has to be during your turn, and they don't cast at instant speed.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, so I guess they're not as OP as you would hope.
Yeah.
Okay. Lovestruck Beast. Heart's Desire, 1. Create a 1/1 white human creature token. And then you can play this guy. You have to exile him and play him. Okay, but he's, can't attack unless you control a 1/1.
Yeah, but how big is he?
He's a 5/5.
That's a great blocker right there.
Yeah, he's a great, for 3 mana? Yeah.
Yeah, even if you don't own a 1/1 already. Like,
Yeah, but for 4 mana, you get a, you get a 1/1, but then,
exactly.
I don't know. It's weird, but you can get 1/1s easier using his ability, basically, though.
Usually, yeah.
And that makes him really good. Because, like, heck, I mean, what? You just fucking turn 2, you drop a token of some kind. And then turn 3, you play him, and he can attack. I mean, as long as he has haste or whatever. But, point is,
Yeah.
turn 3, you play him, and he can do anything anybody else, any other creature can do. Alright, Nature's Lore. Search your library for a forest card, put the card on the battlefield, then shuffle. For 2 mana?
And you just get a free untapped land.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. And it comes on, it says put it onto the battlefield and not play it.
Yeah.
So
So you get
extra
land.
extra land that turn.
Yeah.
And then also it comes into play untapped.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Alright, Sandworm Convergence. Creatures with flying can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of your end step, create a 5/5 green worm creature token. It's an 8-drop, but damn.
Yeah. And when that deck runs properly, 8 is not very much.
No. It's mana ramp-ish, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like Nature's Lore,
Yeah.
so.
Alright, Bone Crusher Giant. Stomp. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. It's an instant ability. So this ability is instant.
Yeah.
Whenever Bone Crusher Giant becomes the target of a spell, Bone Crusher Giant deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. So, yeah, but he does. So he doesn't have the like everybody else, where he exiles himself, and then you get to play him from exile whenever you activate that ability.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different for him, but you get it as a sorcery.
But it's one of those
Not
things. It's
true.
like, oh, I'm gonna swing
Instant.
all out. Okay, well, I'm just gonna use fog. Well, I don't care because it's instant speed.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much. Let's see. Battle Mana. Whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Foretell 4. During your turn, you may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for its Foretell cost.
yeah, foretell stuff is really cool.
Yeah.
because you're not playing it yet, so I can foretell something, right? And then you can't do anything about it until I play it later on.
Yeah. Interesting.
Unless you do something like destroy target exiled card or something. But
Yeah.
like, there are very few of that kind of card that exist.
Yeah, usually exile's kind of like a safe zone.
Yeah. Or a purgatory, depending on how it's used.
True.
Because
Yeah.
for me, it's a safe zone. But for anybody else, if I exile something of theirs, it's purgatory.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, if they exile something of yours, chances are you can't play it.
Yeah,
again.
unless I have exile pull or something like,
Yeah.
or like a card. It's like anything that's been exiled can be played or something.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous, which I don't have anything like that in that deck.
Yeah. Because this one usually just has its own abilities that work with exile.
Yeah.
Not it controls the exile zone. So,
Even though, honestly, with the way it runs, it should control the exile zone.
yeah.
Because, like, my commander, it's like tap one, tap her, discard a card, exile the top card of my library, and then I can play it. But I can only play it that turn.
Yeah. It's like my card that I was using in my other deck. Baby, get out of here.
Yeah, I know.
It was so sad because it's like, but every time I did it, it exiled a card, but I can only cast those cards that turn.
Right.
And if I don't, then they're exiled
And it's
forever.
playing those cards, too.
Yeah.
So you have to use it on a land to get a land out from exile that way.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, if it exiles a land, I can cast it, but only if I haven't already cast a land that turn.
Yeah.
Because it uses the same rules.
Mine has some other cool abilities, too. Like, whenever I play a card, when I cast a spell or a land enters the battlefield under my control from exile,
Yeah.
then I put a 2/2 wolf creature token into play.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of
And I have another one that every time a card is exiled from my library or my graveyard, it gets +1/+1. Just as a counter.
it just has that.
It just has it, yeah.
It's kind of funny though. Alright, command tower. Alright. Demon Bolt. It deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Foretell.
For 1, which
For
is
1.
pretty good.
So you pay 2 colorless and then you can foretell.
Yeah, so it's the same cost overall, but cheaper in the long run, technically.
Well, yeah, it means you can just have it sitting out on the field and wait to use it,
Yep.
and it only costs you 1 to do it. So, makes it way more convenient than using it and paying 3 right away, or like all at once. Okay, Raging Ravine. Enters battlefield tapped. Pay 4, until end of turn, becomes a 3/3 red and green elemental creature with whenever this creature attacks with plus a counter, it's still a land. Noise. 3 visits. Search your library for a forest card, put that card on the battlefield, then shuffle. It's the exact same thing. Oh yeah. Greater Gargadon. Suspend 10 for 1 mana. It's normally a 10 drop for a 9/7. Sacrifice an artifact, creature, or land. Remove a time counter from him. Activate only if is suspended. Oh, well, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
So you can't use his ability to sacrifice stuff later. But that's such a funny card. It's just like an impending doom thing. Like first turn, you just pop him out. He's there.
Which would be sick as well. It's like,
Yeah.
then on turn 10, no matter what my board state looks like, I have a guaranteed... Oh, I'm so funny.
9/7.
Yeah, I have a guaranteed 9/7 on turn 10.
Yeah. It's super funny.
Which is really fucking cool, though.
Bunch of mountains. Venture Forth. Exile cards from the top of your library until you exile land card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. Exile Venture Forth with 3 time counters on it. Oh, right. That's this one. So you can just fucking have him out.
Yeah, unless you get, like, cancel it or something.
Yeah, but as long as he pulls off his effect, he just, every fucking 3 turns,
Yeah.
he will just pop.
Which is great early game.
Yeah,
It's great late game, too.
Yeah, you can
honestly.
suspend him for 2.
Because of shit like, not Cultivator Colossus, though it has the same ability as Cultivator Colossus.
Yeah.
Beanstalk Giant.
Yeah.
Where its like thing is its power and toughness are equal to the number of lands I control.
Yeah.
And Cultivator Colossus does the same thing, except he has like a landfall ability or something,
Yeah.
or Cascade or some shit.
Something. Alright, Chaos Wand. Pay 4, tap it. Target opponent exile cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the exile cards that weren't cast this way on the bottom of that library in a random. Servox Tomb. When it enters the battlefield, you take the initiative.
Yeah, which is a special like token
Yeah.
where whenever you have the initiative at the beginning of your upkeep, you venture into the Undercity, and if you already have the initiative, you move through that dungeon.
Yeah, whenever one or more creatures a player controls deals combat damage to you, that player takes the initiative. Whenever you take the initiative and at the beginning of your upkeep, venture into the Undercity. If you're in a dungeon, advance to the next room. If you're not, enter Undercity. You can take the initiative even if you already have it. And then on the other side, it like
Has the dungeon.
yeah. So you enter
So
in the
it's
secret entrance, I guess, and then you can proceed. And I guess that's either go Forge or Lost Well. Lost Well lets you scry to Forge, put 2 +1 counters on target creature, and then either of those you get to go down until you get to the end.
Yep.
Just Throne of the Dead 3. So I guess the idea is to get there.
Yeah.
Because it helps you along the way, but it can also help your opponents if
They take it from you.
and you can never
But
take it
if
back.
you're playing with multiple people, you can take the initiative multiple times, and
Yeah.
each one of them triggers separately.
Interesting.
So, because obviously it does.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Yeah. So you could fuck shit up with that essentially.
Yeah. And you can so you can tap this artifact for 1 colorless. If you have the initiative, add 2 colorless instead. Pay 3, tap it. Exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Activate only if you've completed a dungeon.
Yeah.
So you have to go all the way through that card, the initiative card.
Through the Undercity, yeah, the dungeon on the back of it.
Yeah, so you have to go all the way through it.
Or another one, depending on
Yeah, either way.
what you're playing, basically.
Yeah, but you have to go all the way through one,
Yeah.
and then you can use that ability.
Which is what again?
It literally just lets you like exile until you find instant sorcery and then play that for free.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's like it's okay, but there are cards that let you do it faster and easier.
There's a cooler one called Enter the Lost City or something like that.
Okay.
Or it's something Lost City. It's really fucking cool. Just go and look at it whenever you find
Yeah,
it.
whenever I
guess.
find it.
Yeah, you'll know.
Okay. Stolen strategy. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells.
So I don't know about you, but the way I read that is any card that's been exiled with that card, right?
Is gone.
For them, is
Yeah, for
the
them.
idea.
Yeah.
But like I could play it. That's how I read that.
What do you mean you can play? Yeah, no, that's what it says.
Well, I know, but like some people might argue it's like, oh, because it says this one or whatever, right? You can't just use them whenever you want or something like that. You
I
know?
don't know what you mean. Because at the beginning of your upkeep, and then until end of turn, you
Yeah.
may cast spells from among those exiled cards. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way it's worded makes it kind of sound like a little bit like I wouldn't be allowed to cast those cards. Like I wouldn't be able to cast just any card from all of them, just any exiled that round. Does that make sense?
I don't know what you mean.
So like, I have it out for 2 rounds, right?
Yes.
The first round I exile a card from you or whatever, but I can't play it. So the next turn, that card could theoretically be exiled forever, and nobody can use it.
Yeah, no, that's how I read it.
That's how you read it?
Yeah, if you don't play it that turn, it is exiled forever,
See, but
and you can't play it again.
also with
You don't
that,
get a turn.
though, it sounds like among those exiled cards. So it's kind of like, to me, it sounds more like being able to play any of them as long as I own that card. So if like you
No.
just
Because it specifically says until end of turn. Yeah, if it didn't say until end of turn, then I would agree. But because it says until end of turn, you may play those spells. I think that means that at the end of your turn, you can no longer play them, or play the card that was
right.
exiled that turn.
Into the firefight.
That's how I see it.
Okay, that's fair. I read it both ways, basically, and I would prefer it if it was not.
Well, obvious.
But
Because then you just, every turn, you just get an additional card that you can play.
not
From their
whenever,
stuff.
just only during my turn.
Well, yeah.
Unfortunately,
Right.
it's still cool.
It is definitely, no, it's definitely really nice. You might even, because you could run into stuff that is really nice.
Yeah, that I could play.
Yeah, and if you're mana ramping super hard, then it almost doesn't matter the cost of whatever the card is that you find.
Right.
So, and it doesn't specify. Top card. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among those exile cards. You may okay, so only spells though. So if it's a land, you don't get anything.
Right.
You can't play their lands for yourself.
Which would be super broken.
It'd be weird as hell, but it'd be funny. It'd be funny as hell. It'd be funny. Alright. Kodama's Reach. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards. Put one on the battlefield tapped, and the other in your hand, and shuffle. End Raise Forerunners. Vigilance, Trample, Haste. When it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Trample until end of turn. And he's an 8-drop, 7/7. Vigilance, Trample, Haste. Alright, Outpost Siege. As Outpost Siege enters the battlefield, choose Cons or Dragons. Cons, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. Okay. Dragons. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, Outpost Siege deals 1 damage to any target.
Cultists were trying to force me to make guns for them. The last thing I wanted to do was arm those bastards. Jacob's guns belong in Jacob's hands.
Alright.
Have this.
Fatali
Keep
Primal
personal
Storm.
weapons cache. Take it.
Whenever he attacks, exile top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying your mana cost. See, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Because then you're just guaranteed to just play it. You're just like, oh, it doesn't matter what it is, unless it's actually something that does nothing, or it doesn't, or
Or it's a
hurts you.
land.
Yeah, or like or it hurts you. Because obviously, if you shit out a board wipe, then and you're like,
But it says
obviously,
may, and then
Yeah.
they lose that board wipe, so it doesn't even
yeah.
matter.
So it's like, yeah, at that point, it's like you don't want to play it because then you'll fuck yourself over.
I have one card that if I tap for 6 and overcharge it, I can deal 4 damage to each creature I don't control.
That's pretty funny though. Okay, Mana Gorger Hydra. We all know what Mana Gorger is. Delayed Blast Fireball. It deals 2 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. If this spell was cast from exile, it deals 5 damage to each opponent and each creature they control instead.
That's fucked.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 5 damage, it's so much, but it costs a lot more.
Yeah.
Because it's 3 mana to activate, it's just 2 damage to each creature. Yeah. But Foretell is pay 2 colorless, and then later pay 6. So,
begins the
still
resistance.
expensive.
I gotta tell you.
Natural Reclamation. Cascade. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. That's the one, boys. Arasta of the Endless Web. Reach. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. That's really nice. It's not super great, but it's nice.
Yeah.
It's just like whenever they cast an instant or sorcery, it's just like you get a thing. Dream Pillager. Flying. Whenever Dream Pillager deals combat damage to a player, exile that many cards from the top of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards. Okay. It's okay. Cultivate. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards. Put them on the battlefield tapped, and the other into your hand. Ura Brass the Hidden. Creatures you control have haste. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. That's fucking rude. That's so rude. Goddamn.
There's actually a surprising amount of really rude shit in that deck.
Not surprising. Alright. That was the first half. Sort of. It's more like a third, but it doesn't count. Alright. Passionate Archaeologist. Commander creatures you own have, whenever you cast a spell from exile, this creature deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to target opponent. That's nice. Beast Within. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token.
Yes.
That's cool.
While you freed Reliance from the grip of those COV devils,
Should I wait until they finish talking?
damn record
It's up to you.
contraption working. Let's find out where the
I know they have very important things to say about whatever it is you're doing.
Oh.
That's it? Ooh, I should, after this deck, I should go get mine.
Oh, yeah.
Because we haven't read that through that one. Alright, is it Chemister? Haste. Exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Pay 2 tap target, or sacrifice him. Cast any number of cards exile within his discard with him without paying a mana cost. That's cool. Tectonic Giant. Whenever he attacks or becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, choose 1. He deals 3 damage to each opponent, or exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one of them. Until the end of your turn, your next turn, you may play that card. Okay. That's cool. Cool. That was a cat. Alright. Wild Magic Sorcerer. The first spell you cast from exile each turn has Cascade. That's fun.
Who doesn't appreciate Cascade?
I know, Cascade's fun.
I know. Cascade's super fucked a lot of the time, too.
Primeval Bounty. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put 3 +1 counters on target creature you control. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 3 life. That's nice. Volcanic Torrent. Cascade. It deals X damage to each creature and planeswalker your opponent's control, where X is the number of spells you've cast this turn. That's rough.
But what if I cast a bunch of spells from exile from you guys for free?
I mean, yeah, no, that's
exactly the idea.
Yeah, because I'm like, otherwise it's like it's a 5 drops. You know how much mana it would cost to like actually be casting spells?
Right. Enough to actually deal damage.
Yeah. Warstorm Surge. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. And that plays with the exiling creatures all the fucking time. Explore. You may play an additional land this turn and draw a card.
That's all it does.
Yep, it's good enough. Green Slime. Flash. When it has the battlefield, counter target activated or triggered ability from an artifact or enchantment source. If a permanent's ability is countered this way, destroy that permanent. He's got a foretell. Ooh, for 1.
A hunt with a bounty.
Ooh, you got yourself a planeswalker in here. I don't know.
There's a couple of them.
Vivian, Champion of the Wilds. You may cast creature spells as though they had flash. +1. Until your next turn, up to one target creature gains Vigilance and Reach. -2. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Exile 1 face down and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. As long as it remains exiled, you may look at that card and you may cast it if it's a creature spell. Okay. Durnon of the Yawning Portal. Whenever it attacks, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may exile a creature card from among them, with the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may cast it. That spell has Undaunted. It costs 1 less to cast for each opponent. Choose a background. You can have a background as a second commander.
I don't know what a background is. It's also not explained at all.
Nope, couldn't tell you. You have to look it up. Meow. Okay, Ignite the Future. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. If this spell was cast from a graveyard, you may play cards this way without paying the mana cost. And flashback is 8. It's twice as much. Sakura Tribe Elder.
Sounds good too.
Sacrifice it. Search your library for a basic land card.
That's all it
Put
does.
that card on the battlefield tab, then shovel. Yep. That's about it. Hornet Queen! We all know Hornet Queen is. Soul Rain! Island Forest. It's a mountain forest. Okay, that's battlefield tab. Snowland. Alright. Lelia. Or Lelia? The Blade Forged. Haste. When it attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from your library and or your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Nice.
Is this your default physical state?
Escape to the Wilds. Exile top 5 cards of your library. You may play cards exile this way until the end of your next turn. You may play an additional land this turn. Nice. Cinder Glade, Mountain Forest. There's battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Castle Ebereth. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain. Pay 3, tap it. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn.
The jewel appears to be in disrepair.
Journey of the Lost City. Alright. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 4 cards of your library, then roll a d20. Okay, 1 through 9, you may put a land card from among those cards on the battlefield. 10 through 19, create a 2/2 wolf green wolf creature token, then put a +1 counter on it for each creature card among those cards. 20. All permanent cards exiled with Journey to the Lost City onto the battlefield, then sacrifice it. I like that card. That's fun.
I know, isn't it cool?
Too weak to survive.
Myriad Landscape. Enters battlefield tab. Tap it. 1 colorless. Pay 2, sack it. Search your library for 2 basic land cards, but that share land type. Put them on the battlefield tab, then jump. The trash. Alright, Dire Fleet Daredevil. First strike. When it enters the battlefield, exile target instant or sorcery card from your opponent's graveyard. You may cast it this turn. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast that spell. If that spell would be put into a graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Nice. Okay.
It's time to fight.
Terramorph. Search your library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield, then shuffle. Rebound. If you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana. Cool, cool. Sweet Gum Recluse. Flash, Cascade, Reach. When it enters the battlefield, put 3 +1 counters on each of any number of target creatures that entered the battlefield this turn. That's cool. Embereth, Shield Breaker. Battle Display 1. Destroy target artifact. Then exile this card. You may cast this creature later from exile. That's the card that's brokey as fuck.
Yeah.
Because for literally ever, for 3 mana, you get to just use it. Unless he dies, I guess.
Right. Or gets like countered as he enters the battlefield again from exile or something.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
Right.
you don't have that shit. You're just destroying artifacts all the fucking time.
Yep.
It's crazy. Special lands. Arcane Signet. Tap that one code mana. Colors it in. Commander's color it in. Blood Raid Elf. Blood Raid Elf. Haste. Cascade.
That's all he's got.
That's good enough. Xenagos, the Revealer. Revel. Revealer. +1. Add X mana any combination of red and or green where X is the number of creatures you control. That's crazy. Create a 0 for 0. Create a 2/2 red and green satyr creature token with it. -6. Exile the top 7 cards of your library. You may put any number of creature and or land cards from among them on the battlefield. Yeah, he's crazy.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it takes you a hot minute to get there because he starts at 3 and you only get a +1 ability. But that +1 ability gives you a shit ton of mana if you have a ton of creatures out.
Yep.
And his 0 ability is good too because it just gives you a creature every turn. Alright. Azuri's Predation. For each creature your opponents control, create a 4/4 green Phyrexian Beast creature token. Each of those tokens fights a different one of those creatures. That could be a board wipe.
Theoretically, yeah. If everything's small enough.
Yeah, but if their army is smaller than is 4 or less, it's a board wipe.
Yep. And then I just have a shitload of enemies or dudes all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Temple of the False God. Tap it, add 2 colors. Activate only if you control 5 elements. Nullfesh. Flying. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy.
And that's any spell.
Whenever you cast a spell from exile, copy. Yep. Choose new targets for the copy. If it's a permanent spell, the copy gains haste, and at the beginning of the next end step, sacrifice the spell.
That's not too bad, though.
No, it's not.
Cast something with Cascade. Cascade twice.
Cascade twice. Double it up, boys. Mizium Mortars. Just 4 damage to target creature you don't control. Overload for 6. And they cast a spell for its overload cost. If you do, change target in the text to each. So if you pay 6 instead of 2, you just deal 4 damage to every creature you don't control.
Yep.
That's crazy. Grumgully the Generous. Each and other non-human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. There you go.
There are not that many humans in that deck.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, this adds up. Aurora Phoenix. Flying Cascade. Whenever you cast a spell with Cascade, return him from your graveyard to your hand. Tilinkali Hunter. Retrieve prey 2. Exile target creature card from your graveyard. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card. Trample. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a creature spell you cast from exile. That's so fucking stupid.
What does it do again?
So exile, so you pay the 2.
Yeah.
And then you can exile target creature card from your graveyard. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card. His other ability is, once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a creature spell you cast from exile. So once per turn, you can just pay nothing to cast an exiled creature that you exile. But like, since there's so much exile stuff in the deck,
right,
you just get to do that.
I have exile pull deck.
Yeah, sort of. But it's specifically that you exile it.
I'm doing most exiling anyways, though.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
You get to be for free.
Yeah.
Which is better than whatever price you normally have to pay, which is usually full price. Okay, light up the stage. Spectacle 1. You may cast this spell for its spectacle cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent lost life this turn. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until end of your next turn, you may play those cards.
For the sake of time.
Jessica's Will. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast this spell, you may choose both. Add red for each card in target opponent's hand. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. Search for tomorrow. Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. Okay. And it's to spend 2 for 1, so that's nice. And that's it. That's the whole deck. I guess I'll read off the commander. Alright, commander. Faldorn Dreadwolf Herald. Whenever you cast a spell from exile or a land enters the battlefield under your control from exile, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Pay 1, tap it. Discard a card. Exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. That's it, boys. That's all she does. That's it.
Pretty good, though. I enjoyed it. That's a fun deck.
You better enjoy it. It's your deck. You ever gonna build a commander deck, Brandon?
I already have. And it's way better than all of the other commander decks I've seen.
The sliver deck?
Yeah.
That's not the same.
Even my goblin deck would be better than most of the commander decks I have if I fix the mana issue.
Yeah.
If I fix the mana problem in my goblins, it's fucking unstoppable.
Okay, not unstoppable, but definitely better.
Way better.
Nah.
Especially for commander? Yeah.
Nah.
Because I only need 4 mana for that deck to run.
Yeah, but the problem is because of how like long commander is, because of the extra life, I think even these decks get more than enough time to catch up to the goblins if you aren't able, because like the other decks, the goblin deck doesn't have any control or defense against control.
That's true.
And so like a lot of these other decks have at least a bit. And so I know whenever we play with the goblins, they're faster because they can drop shit so quickly. But like you're able to fucking fuck them up a little bit or slow them down pretty good with like
That's true.
just basic like your shit's exiled now, be sad. Or like I board wipe your deck. So all your fucking goblins are gone now.
Yeah.
Or some shit like that.
But that's why Boggart Ponty is in there.
Yeah, it's true.
It's because, like, oh, I don't care. I'm just gonna bring back Krenko, my one guy who's been fucking you the entire game.
Yeah.
And just use him again.
Yeah, so like it has stuff, but I don't think it's I don't think it's better.
I think it'd run too rampant, you know? Like, if I changed all of them to dualies, even if they come into play tapped, I think they're way worse.
You think so?
Way worse. And better than most of the precons we have, if not all the precons we have. Because none of the precons are fast enough to catch it.
I mean, it's true they're not fast enough, but that's why I think that because it's Commander, they're given enough time that they can perform them. Now, obviously, if you can get Krenko off and keep Krenko going off, then they're fucked.
Right.
Because, there you go. That's just straight up obvious.
I think we should actually test this theory of ours.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
freaking print off some dualies or find some dualies or something.
Yeah.
And just replace all but 10 of the land with dualies.
All but 10? No.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that much.
What?
Just a few dualies.
Why not?
Well, because...
There's 30 land in there now. 20 dualies. That would make sense.
That's too
That's
much
a
dualies.
fair ratio.
That's too much dualies.
And then 5 of
I think
each
10.
basic.
I think 10 dualies is good enough. I think 10's good enough because the problem is you really only need one of each.
That's true.
But so you don't want to get too swamped up with dualies because then you'll be
That's
knocking yourself down, or you'll be slowing yourself down by every turn.
I just want to guarantee that I get a dualie, because if I don't, I'm fucked.
Yeah, but I think it's fine. I think 10 would be okay.
Maybe.
But yeah, test to see if it can perform
You just
better.
scared me.
Because one thing that slows it down a little bit is the fact you have to fetch Franco. So
That's because the deck is so big, though.
yeah,
And that's the only reason the fetch cards are even in there.
yeah. So you
So
can
I
make
can
sure
guarantee a Krenko, and then I can guarantee him keeping him out with Ward.
Yeah.
So, what do you want, huh? Huh?
And that's the thing, though, is it's hard to decide whether or not fetching Krenko first is the best choice versus fetching the one goblin that allows you to
Just fetch cards.
fetch goblins all the time.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely long game,
Mm-hmm.
but Krenko's very short game. So you rip his ass out, and if you're able to, just keep popping him off.
Right.
And obviously, once you get him out, he's out unless he's exiled. But that's another thing is against all these other decks with exile capabilities, if they're able to exile Franco, that's it.
Krenko's not the end-all be-all solution for that deck.
Well, it's not, no.
Which,
But it's one of the biggest.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it's just no, dude, I'm just fucking goblining up your ass.
But if I freaking get out, Coat of Arms...
Yeah, Coat of Arms would kick some serious ass.
Exactly. And that's without Krenko.
Yeah. And, obviously there's other stuff, and then there's, obviously Goblin Bomb or whatever.
Goblin Bomb.
Yeah, Goblin Bomb.
No, it's so silly. And you can,
It's silly.
there's a goblin in there that lets you re-roll any dice or coin flip.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, see-
you can just do that over and over and over again if it comes out to something unfavorable.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to do it, call it in the air, and then you call it. I'm like, well, I'm going to re-roll that one so it doesn't count. And then
Re-roll.
hopefully you get it again.
Yeah, hopefully you get an opportunity.
You only get to do it once, but
Yeah, but, once it's
that's what copy cards are
good
for.
enough, I guess. Yeah, true.
Pretty much all of the black cards in that deck are fetch cards. Most of them.
Yeah, you're right.
Over 50% of the black cards are just fetchers. So,
It's kind of funny.
it needed to be done, though. It's just so I can guarantee I get stuff that I actually want.
Yeah, for sure. Because your game runs a lot off of making sure you get stuff you need
Right,
to
but
pull off the combos.
because I can just force what I want. It's the same reason homing sliver is in my slivers. Because every sliver gets sliver cycling, which is pay 3, discard that card, and then I can go search my deck for any sliver card I want.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, I don't need another mana web sliver, and I have my sliver overlord out or whatever. so they're immortal. I'm just gonna go fetch a way better sliver card.
Yeah. It's so funny how that works.
Yeah. Slivers are awesome. I fucking love slivers.
Fucking means that.
Yeah.
Now they're not invincible.
No, but they're broken.
I think the biggest thing is that they're currently like none of the decks that like the pre-builts are designed to handle that kind of speed.
Most commander decks aren't, though.
Well,
That's
I mean, yeah.
the thing.
Well,
is
I mean, like,
because
but what kind of how many commander decks have you really like?
how many
run
normal
into?
decks can keep up with that speed?
Oh, a lot
right?
can keep it.
Like goblins.
A lot of mine can. Like
yeah, and
like
your
my,
soldiers, but
my
like.
soldiers and my zombies can do it.
But imagine if I had condensed it down into a more, like 60 card sliver deck, right?
Well, still,
where it's just the cards that I want to pull the combo off, and then fetch cards.
yeah, the cascade ability, right? You're
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
Like-
I think the zombies have a really good chance, and the reason I say
Yeah,
that.
no, I agree, but that's because of like, not discard, the sacrificial thing, like grave packs and stuff.
Yeah, well, no. So what I'm talking about though, and the reason why I think that they're good, but they're not as great as one would hope, is
yeah.
because the mana requirements to like play the first sliver. So even if you have the first sliver out or like in your hand or whatever, he requires like so much mana, and it's very specific. It's 3 color.
It's 5. It's
5
5 each.
Yeah, so literally it's very specific, and it's harder to get. And I know that like in 60 color or 60 card, you have the gem hide and the mana left,
And then dualies, obviously.
and then dualies. So you guarantee you got all the mana colors you need, but it still requires that much mana.
Right.
And I think the speed, like using regular like methods to get him out, just mana ramp and then he's out. I think the zombies would have enough time to pop before you could get him out, or by the time you get him out,
Yeah.
and thus eliminating like the mana and the ability. But soldiers, possibly, just because I know that they're really fast, but also like you can block with sheet slivers to save yourself just in time.
That's one thing about it, though, is like, I feel like if I were to build a 60 card sliver deck, I would just go all in, essentially, on Cascade, and then a few fetch cards, and that's legit? I mean,
Yeah, I think another problem
like,
though
something
is,
like Quarter Calling, or, friggin' Summoner's Pact, stuff
See-
like that.
See, but the one problem that I think of when you take this like deck setup to a 60 card style is you're limiting your slivers, like the type of slivers you can have.
Right.
So actually the way I would build it is almost like a commander deck, where you have more than one of the slivers that you specifically need,
Yeah.
but then all the rest of the slivers are one-offs. And that way you can have like 4 mana web, 4 gem hide, and then honestly only one
First sliver.
1 or 2 of those,
Right.
and then like 8 total fetch cards.
Right. I wouldn't go overboard on the fetching,
Yeah.
obviously.
So 8
But,
total.
like, definitely every land should be a dual, just because of how many colors it is.
Yeah, and then, well, maybe not actually,
Most lands.
because if you're going 8 of the mana slivers, then you can do like if you're going 20. If you go 20 land,
Right.
I would say like
Half and half, probably.
maybe 8. I would say 8 duties, and the reason I say that is because you're basing your most of the deck off of obviously getting those mana weft and the gem hide slivers out. But so that means if you make, obviously it has to be green basics as well. But then I think the
Yeah.
other dually should be just, I think it should just be a green black. I think that would work. And I know that puts a lot of pressure on the gem hide and the mana wefts.
Yeah, on the slivers specifically.
Yeah, but I think it would work out. But I think a lot of the one-ups, because then you want to get your fetch card. But you want to make sure you can play the fetch cards without relying on the slivers. That way you have like half and half green black basics, and then like 8 dualies for green black plus, or turn some of those dualies into like one of the ones that's like you can play for any color, like sliver, and then like whatever.
Yeah, like Sliver Hive and shit like that.
But so you make sure that you have the black lands to play the fetch cards, so you can get, if you need, a Mana Weft or a Gem Hive.
Right.
And
or
then,
even just the first Sliver outright.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever.
So you have lots of those in there to make sure you're getting the things that you need in your hand. And that way you're guaranteed the mana slivers, so you always have one out to make it so that the fact you
and
only
just
have
do like 4 demonic tutors and 4 homing slivers. And those,
what do those ones do?
they give all slivers sliver cycling. Sliver cycling 3, so you can discard a card from your hand, specifically a sliver card, obviously, and you just get to go fetch a card from your library.
You put it in your hand?
And put it in my hand. Yeah.
Why is it called Sliver Cycling 3? You have to pay 3 mana,
You have to pay 3 mana for it.
sack a card, and then
Discard a card.
discard a sliver,
Yeah.
and then go get a sliver. Yeah, no, that would be nice.
Exactly.
And so
And it's only 3, 6 total technically. But
6 total. But I think you could get away with using demonic tutor and then like grim tutor, because it's pay 3 and then
yeah.
pay 2 life or whatever.
But
I don't
with
know what other
sliver
two
cycling, I can just get rid of stuff I don't need at all.
I mean, it's true, but I'm thinking more like instant game. You want it because like sliver cycling lets you do it like later.
Well,
but
sliver
it's slower.
cycling, he also has sliver cycling, so I can just cast it or discard him from my hand for 3 outright.
Yeah, but so I'm just saying though that like it's cheaper to do it that way because you're guaranteed to. Because you're guaranteed, and then cascade ability. Yeah, and that's the thing is I think that like, that ability with the slivers really shines in the commander.
Yeah.
Because there are just so many slivers you can just jam pack into that deck.
Yeah, and just add a bunch of stuff like
Be silent
what is it?
once for yes and twice for no.
What is it called? There's a sliver that just gives all other slivers +1/+1.
Yeah.
It's like predatory sliver.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of those.
Yeah. But so it really shines because once you limit down to like the 60 card deck, it's not nearly as easy to do.
Yeah.
So honestly, really, you would probably want to just build like a deck that's more than 60, but in a 60 card standard style.
Right.
Or style. So you have you can have up to 4.
Which you can do in standard. Like, a standard,
Yeah.
60 is the minimum.
Yeah, and usually you want to stick around that because of consistency.
Yeah.
But so in this
But
case,
with
though,
slivers, it's different because they're slivers.
yeah. So in this case, like if you did like a 100 card deck this way, you could put in like a ton of the fetch cards. Not a ton, maybe like I don't know, 12 fetch cards or some shit, and then the sliver that lets you fetch as well. And then, like, still only like 2 of the first slivers.
Because you don't need more than that.
Yeah, because you got plenty of fetch cards.
And there's a card, I don't remember which, it's Hatchery Sliver? Whenever you play a sliver, you can make a copy of it by paying its extra mana cost, basically. Yeah. And so it's like, I play the first sliver, and then I freaking can pay 5 more to play another first sliver.
Yeah. So yeah, literally it's...
And then there's another one that makes the legend rule not apply anymore.
That's nice.
Which means I could have 2 Hatchery Slivers, or whatever, like, not Hatchery Slivers, Hatcheries are freaking legendaries.
But you get the point.
Yeah.
And then, but if you do it that format, then it allows you to jam-pack one-offs of a ton of different types of slivers.
Right.
So that way you can still jam-pack your deck full of so many different abilities.
Right.
And then once you pop off the first sliver, you're just fucking ripping through them.
Yeah. Just fucking shred them to pieces.
Yeah, and so then you're just playing all these slivers. Yeah.
Bad chest?
Yeah.
Yes. That sucks. How disappointing.
Percent.
Oh, what perfect timing.
I
I
know.
just beat a boss, too. I know, it didn't seem like it.
Yeah,
It was a
dude,
boss.
insta-death. He looked like a boss.
Yeah, she kind of was a boss.
but he didn't like.
She wasn't very strong, but also I have a shitload of legendaries and a shitload of corrosion. So.
All right, when did you want to eat food? It's 8:03 right now.
We can order food because I'm not going to.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Fucking coward. Okay. Well, anyways. Oh wait.
Shit's happening.
Yeah, I'll finish. That's rude.
Hell, Vault Hunter, we're locked in here. Get to the bridge and fix this. What is going on? Are we under attack? Abandon the ship! Robots and children first!
Okay, well, if you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing.
Definitely go check out our other channel.
Until next time, peace out.
Bye bye.